Why the ego's best self is still a lie. Leah is playing chess with her father, while Salvador Ross is out hot-wiring a future he doesn't even understand. This isn't romance, it's metaphor. Because the ego isn't in love, it's in competition. It doesn't want union, it wants a trophy. It doesn't seek love, it seeks confirmation. Let me be the one you want, and I'll finally prove I'm enough. Salvador doesn't want Leah. He wants who he thinks he'll become if he gets her. She's not a woman in his eyes. She's a mirror, a certificate, an award. That's not love. That's projection. And it's exactly how the ego crafts the special relationship. You are the symbol that I've upgraded enough to be worthy. This is the ego's core theology, salvation through self-improvement. And Salvador Ross is its ideal student. He's not interested in healing, he wants to win. The ego's dealership of traits. Salvador doesn't seek transformation. He seeks transaction. He trades youth for cash, sells years like baseball cards, upgrades speech, strength, age, image, everything but the mind. And that's the fatal flaw. Because you can change the mask 1,000 times and nothing changes. But change the mind once, and everything does. The Course says, the world you see is an outside picture of an inward condition. But Salvador doesn't change the condition. He paints the mask, swaps the hardware, and expects to be loved. This is what makes the self-improvement industry the ego's billion-dollar altar. It sells the fantasy that the problem is in the form, not in the belief. But no matter how many traits Salvador collects, the belief in lack remains untouched. Compassion on the market. The turning point comes when he hears Leah's heart. She doesn't want wealth, or power, or sophistication. She wants compassion. And what does Salvador do? He tries to buy it. He tries to purchase compassion, as if it were a feature upgrade. But compassion isn't an asset. It's a recognition. It can't be owned. It can only be extended. Leah says, you don't care about anybody. You're not kind. And he hears that not as a call to change, but as a call to shop. The ego always tries to commercialize what is freely given. It turns innocence into currency, forgiveness into performance, love into leverage. But what is real cannot be acquired, and what is eternal cannot be sold. The woman as the ego's trophy. Salvador never stops to ask what he truly values. He only asks what will make him appear worthy. That's why he never actually sees Leah. He only sees the symbol she represents. When he says, tell me what kind of guy you want, and I'll be that guy, he reveals the truth. This isn't about her. It's about him. He wants her because he believes she will finally silence the inner voice that says, you are not enough. This is the trap of the special relationship. It turns love into a contract and salvation into a bargain. It says, I will give you the version of me you ask for if you give me the identity I crave. Death of the dream. In the final scenes, Salvador returns a changed man, or so he claims. He looks different. He speaks differently. He's prosperous. But he is not healed. He says, I love her now. I've improved myself. I'm ready to be forgiven. And here, the ego slips. Because true forgiveness cannot be earned. It cannot be traded for effort. It cannot be deserved through rebranding. And it is never granted to the new you, because the old you was never real. When Salvador says, I'm asking you for forgiveness, for compassion, what he's really asking is, can you confirm that I'm finally good enough? But the ego's version of forgiveness always has a hook. It says, I'll forgive, but I won't forget. I'll forgive when you've proven yourself. I'll forgive, but only the parts of you that meet my terms. That is not forgiveness. The Course teaches that forgiveness means what you think happened, never did. Not because of denial, but because the world you judged was only a projection of guilt. There's nothing to forgive you for, because you haven't done anything. Real forgiveness doesn't confirm a self. It dissolves the self altogether. That's why Salvador dies. Not because he failed, but because the self he built was never alive. From trading to trust. Salvador Ross did everything the ego asked of him. He upgraded, he outperformed, he climbed, he rebranded, he bought the image of love and demanded the feeling to match. But salvation isn't acquired, it's remembered. He could have questioned the self trying to improve. He could have looked at the part of him that believed in lack and asked whether that belief was ever true. Instead, he kept improving a mask until the mask collapsed under its own weight. As A Course in Miracles says, seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world. Salvador changed everything, except the one thing that mattered, because the ego's best self is still a lie.